Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new, and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new here too. This is the AEW report for the 13th of uh, April 2022. Cult of Personality kicks off the show, and we've got CM Punk defeating Penta with Alex Aberjantes. It's a fine match, clash of styles. They get in each other's faces early, and strike battle starting. Penta then hits a kick. Punk comes back with a takedown. Penta comes back with a couple of sling blades. For near fall, Punk avoids a baseball slide and lands a dive before the commercial. Once back, Punk then goes to top rope for Frankensteiner, but slips on the top rope and then clutches his knee. Penta then comes up for an attack. Punk can't put any pressure on the knee for at least a minute. Not sure if this was a legit momentary injury or what it was. Punk blocks the strike, comes back with a top rope. Frankensteiner then follows up in the corner with a rising knee. Penta fights out with the GTS, and then Penta looks to snap Punk's arm, locks that on. Punk turns that into an anaconda vice. Penta then reaches the ropes and tries to escape and fights to the apron. Punk escapes the fear factor and lands a high kick followed by a springboard clothesline and the rising knee, and a short arm clothesline followed up there. Punk then called for the GTS, but Penta blocks it and then goes for the fear factor. Punk then escapes but hits an enziguri, allowing both guys to trade pinning attempts. Penta then lands a thrust kick. Punk catches him with a springboard into the GTS for the win. Decent enough match, clash of styles. I'm not a fan of Lucha, but Punk did the best he could with the situation. Jericho Appreciation Society is shown arriving a local airfield, and they depart the plane. Eddie Kingston and company shows up in a vehicle and said that they were on site and left 2.0 laying behind them. World Tag Team Champions Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Christian defeating Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. The fans believed in the champions. I'm actually kind of surprised that Red Dragon didn't win here, so interesting to see where the story goes from here. Jungle Boy and Fish pair off. Luchasaurus and O'Reilly do the same thing. Luchasaurus then hits a couple of, or gets nailed with a couple of Dragon Screw leg whips. O'Reilly then comes into Luchasaurus' knee, and Jungle Boy goes for the tag. Jungle Boy hits the rebound lariat and lands a bunch of dives on Red Dragon. Not a fan of that. Anyway, but Dragon avoids the third. Luchasaurus takes them out on the apron moonsault. Red Dragon then comes back into control. Jungle Boy then re-enters the ring using the ropes, targeting the limbs, and upon return, Jungle Boy uses to apply his agility and escapes. Luchasaurus then goes after the hot tag. Luchasaurus goes nuts on both Red Dragon with strikes and repeated a bunch of corner splashes, hits a double choke slam, follows up with a standing moonsault for a near fall. Jungle Boy then tags in and hits an elbow drop side slam combo for near fall. Fish then gets a blind tag, and Red Dragon hits a DDT for the German suplex for near fall. O'Reilly locks on an arm breaker, but Jungle Boy reaches the ropes for his trouble. Jungle Boy and O'Reilly fight on the top rope. Luchasaurus then goes for the Doomsday device. O'Reilly then turns that into a guillotine. Fish hits an avalanche of Falcon Arrow, forcing the break by Luchasaurus. O'Reilly then lands strike combination on Luchasaurus, leading to a bunch of big moves. Luchasaurus hits tail whip on Fish. Jungle Boy hits the Thoracic Express for the win. Again, not a fan of this. I would prefer wrestlers to be in charge over gimmicks, but it is what it is. After the match, O'Reilly attacks the champion with a chair. FDR comes out and holds up the belts, exchanging looks with both Red Dragon and the champion, or champions. Anyway, Blackpool Combat Club, including Wheeler Yuta, backstage. They'll face the Gun Club in a trios match. Gun Club are 24-0. Danielson said he's fired up because Yuta's fighting alongside them. This is the first time Moxley doesn't like the Gun Club, so they'll break their faces. Yuta then closed by saying, on Friday the real work begins. Good enough promo, doesn't really need to be here though. Jamie Hayter and Tori Storm are backstage, and they will face off in the first round of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Hayter said she's happy that's the case because that's her crowning moment in AEW. Storm walked away without saying anything. Why have her there if she's not going to speak? Captain Shawn Dean defeats MJF with Shawn Spears via countout. MJF can't get his jacket off. His scarf is stuck in the zipper. He attacks Dean from behind. Cameras cut backstage, and security of MJF is laid out. Wardlow appears behind MJF and stands with a staff shirt and a mask on. He chases MJF up the ramp, and Spears hits him with a chair, which Wardlow barely feels anything of. Security then runs down to stop Wardlow, but Wardlow runs through them until the crew of dozens finally restrain him. Officials counting MJF out. MJF offers to pay him off to not continue the count. The referee gloats at counting him out. After the match, MJF gets in the referee's face and shoves him. Spears breaks that up. The cameras cut backstage again. Wardlow is still beating people up and demanded MJF release him from his contract. Darby Allen video plays where he challenges Andrade to a coffin match. I love Darby Allen. I don't like Andrade, so, hopefully this feud ends soon. Malachi Black addresses Fuego del Sol. He wants Fuego to be afraid of the shadows. Why are they taking Malachi Black and throwing him in a character angle like that? It's just goofy. Anyway, Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho, Hager, and Daniel Garcia defeated Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Six-man tag just to get people on the show. Not a fan of this. Santana and Jericho start off. Then there's a big brawl with everybody on the outside. Ortiz and Hager pair off. And there's a power slam from Hager, allowing Jericho Society taking control ahead of the commercial. Ortiz gets some space and briefly cuts off Garcia, but finally escapes to reach Kingston for the hot tag. Then Kingston dispatches his opponents on the apron before hitting a double underhook suplex. Santana hits a Three Amigos suplexes followed by a frog splash for 2. Ortiz tags in and keeps the attack as Kingston takes out Hager with a suicide dive. Ortiz then tosses Garcia into Jericho as Santana lands a dive on Hager. 2.0 runs out. Ortiz wiped them out with another flip dive because we need more dives in wrestling. Anyway, Garcia's alone in the ring. Kingston tags in, hits an exploder suplex. Garcia then avoids the springboard back fist, and Jericho hits Kingston from behind with Floyd the Bat, and Garcia covers Kingston for the win. Not a fan of this. MJF, Shawn Spears, and Mark Sterling are backstage. MJF is angry. He said he doesn't need our sympathy because he has money, and that's what makes the world go round. Sterling and MJF have the right to book Wardlow against anyone he chooses. MJF sets him up against the Butcher. Jade Cargill is shown looking on backstage. Marina Shafir defeats Sky Blue. The crowd doesn't care about this. They haven't done enough with Marina, and Sky Blue, although good, hasn't been featured on anything but the YouTube shows that are just extra content, really, so it's unfortunate. Shafir takes Blue down. Judo throw, picks her up for slam. Blue goes for DDT. Shafir turns it into a bear hug and plants her, fights back, and then Shafir struggles and goes for everything and basically tries to hook things up and struggles off the overhead throw. Shafir catches a thrust kick and applies triangles for a quick win. Hook then is interviewed earlier today. Tony Nese and Mark Sterling walk up and interrupt. Nese then resents Hook, and then Danhausen shows up. Wasn't able to curse Hook. just a complete waste of time. Dan Lambert and the Men of the Year were backstage. They called out Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. It will be Sky and Guevara for the TNT title at Battle for the Belts. I'd forgotten that Sky was the TV champion, or TNT champion, so that shows you how important that is. Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbes defeats Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Really good match. Starks is really popular. Hobbes and Swerve start off. Power advantage for Hobbes, not a big surprise there, using a fallaway slam. Hometown boy Starks tags in. Big reaction from the crowd. Hits the old school walking the ropes deal and taking Swerve down with a power slam. Swerve comes back with a bunch of leaps and drop kicks, allowing Lee to tag in a bit. Lee then sends both Hobbes and Starks to the outside. Swerve launches himself off of Lee's chest, taking out Team Taz with a moonsault ahead of the commercial break. During the break, Team Taz regains control, but the drop kick from Swerve allows him to reach for the hot tag. Team Taz tries to cut Lee off and run some offense, but Lee performs a beautiful leapfrog and then Beal Starks into his own partner. Discus forearm, and Lee and Swerve get behind Starks. Swerve then tosses Starks into Lee for a pounce for a 2 count, and then Lee and Hobbes get in each other's faces. Starks then uses distraction to hit the enziguri. Lee counters the Rochambeau as Taz walks to ringside. Hobbes breaks up a doomsday device, but then sent into the ring post. Lee perches on Starks on the top ropes and comes back with a diving spear. Starks covered, but hits a 450 splash from Swerve. Taz trips up Lee, and Hobbes hits the spine buster for the win. Rampage 415, Texas Deathmatch, Page versus Cole, Blackpool Combat Club versus Gun Club, Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Qualifier, Soho, and Robin Renegade. Amazing how far she's fallen. Anyway, Battle of the Belts 416, TNT Champion Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara, ROH World Champion Gresham and Adult Castle, AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose. None of these really strike me as matches that must be seen. AEW Dynamite 420 lineup: Wardlow and the Butcher, Hook in action, Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Qualifier, Dr. Britt Baker DMD versus Danielle Camella, and Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Qualifier, Jungle Boy and Kyle O'Reilly. Coffin match, Darby Allen and Andrade. Tony Khan will make a huge announcement. Doesn't he do that like every 2 weeks? Anyway, Thunder Rosa's backstage, but Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero interrupt with a cake. They're celebrating Rosa's world's shortest title reign. Rosa puts the cake in Rose's face, and they brawl. ROH Television Championship, Samoa Joe defeating Minoru Suzuki to win the championship. Anyway, so they start chopping at each other right from the beginning. Crowd's completely buying into that. Joe is fired up. They eventually move into trading forearms. Joe then levels Suzuki with a shoulder tackle. Suzuki then recovers on the apron and battles Joe into the armbar over the ropes, allowing each to earn an advantage temporarily. Then we go to a commercial break. During the break, Joe regains control, has Suzuki in a crossface upon return. Suzuki escapes and returns fire with a soccer kick for a near fall. He then teases a Gotch-style piledriver but can't get him up. Opposites for one more chop battle. Suzuki battles Joe into a modified choke. Joe breaks out with a side slam. Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt are shown at ringside. Suzuki comes back with a running dropkick and wants the Gotch piledriver, but again, Joe powers out of that. Joe is perches Suzuki on the top rope and wants the muscle buster, but Suzuki tries to turn that into an armbar. Joe then powers out and hits the muscle buster to win the match and the ROH Television Championship. After the match, Lethal and Dutt, they have a surprise for Joe. They mock Joe, but the lights go out in the arena. There appears Saturian Singh, 7-foot former basketball player making his television debut. Singh lays out Joe and works together with Lethal and Dutt, applying a vice grip hold on Joe's skull. Lethal hits the lethal injection, and then he poses as the show goes off the air, and just past the top of the hour. I'm not necessarily a fan of this because we don't know who this guy is. Also, Joe just won the title, and we can't even give him time to celebrate. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.